The Kreg Company wants this video banned, and that's because if you can borrow your friend's Kreg jig, you can build your own pocket hole jig really easily. And today on DIY Man, I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. I'm going to be making this pocket hole jig out of hardwood 1x2s. I didn't actually have any of these, so I decided to make some out of some oak and some walnut I had laying around. If I had to do it over again, I just would have used oak. The walnut was kind of dry and it chipped on me a little bit, but it looks a lot cooler than if I would have just made it out of oak, so I decided to keep it that way. You could probably make this pocket hole jig out of pine and other softwoods too, but I wanted to make a tool that was going to last me a while, so I decided to make it out of these. For this next part, I'm going to take off the stop block to my 3/8 inch pocket hole bit, or if you don't have one of these, you can just use a normal 3/8 inch drill bit. Now my 1x2s are actually 3/4 of an inch thick, so I'm going to set my pocket hole jig at 3/4 of an inch. Now I'll put 2 pocket holes on one side of one of these boards. Now I know usually you don't see me holding these pocket hole jigs with a clamp, but I want to make sure these holes are perfect today. Now I know it wasn't very obvious in that clip right there, but make sure you drill all the way through the material. And that's why we removed the stop block, so we could do that, and you'll see why here in just a second. Now I'll cut that 1x2 without pocket holes at 6 inches. On the 1x2 with pocket holes, I'm going to cut it right at the edge of those pocket holes. If you cut it any farther than this, you're going to have some metal showing, which might be beneficial for you if you want to drill some holes in the metal to allow sawdust to escape. Let's glue these two pieces together with some wood glue. Now I'll just let this thing dry for a little bit before I do anything else to it. Once it dries, I'll unclamp it, then clamp it down to my workbench. I'm going to be using my 3/8 inch drill bit to follow those original 2 pocket holes all the way through both boards. It's really important to make sure your drill bit goes through these boards straight when you do this. For this next part, I'm going to be using a steel pipe that has a 1/2 inch outside diameter and a 3/8 inch inside diameter. Now I paid $15 for this piece of metal on Amazon, which might seem a little bit high, but there should be enough left over to create a dowel joinery jig. I'd like to make one of those in a future episode. Now since my metal pipe is a 1/2 inch, I'm going to pull out a 1/2 inch drill bit. Now I'll just snap this in my drill, and I'm going to follow those 2 pocket holes through with this bit. Okay, not too bad. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this walnut kind of chipped on me a little bit. No big deal though, I'll just leave it. Next I'm going to push this metal rod up to the bottom of this hole. Then I'll cut that rod flush with the front of my pocket hole bit. This doesn't have to be perfect yet, I'm just cutting out 2 longer pieces, that way I can glue both of them in at the same time. I'll have to push that piece back out, that way I can apply epoxy to the outside of my tubing. Now I'll just glue these in with an epoxy from Gorilla Glue. I've had pretty good success with their epoxy and it's really pretty cheap. To be honest, I'm really not sure how much to put on here. I just figured the more the better. I think the important thing here is the bottom edge of that tubing is flush with the bottom of that pocket hole. We're going to make a nice cut on the front side of this here in just a second. Once I'm happy with my epoxy job, I'll go ahead and let this dry for a little while. Once it dries, I'll make a mark 1 3/4 inches from the bottom of the pocket hole towards the front of the jig. Then from that line, I'll draw a line that's perpendicular to the pipe on one of the sides. This doesn't have to be perfect, just get it as close as you can with the Mark 1 eyeball. Next you can cut this out with your hacksaw, but I'll take a little bit of a risk and try cutting this with my chop saw. Okay, good. For a second I was concerned I might burn down the shop. Next, let's cut our pocket hole jig down so that it's 4 inches long from the front. Next, let's clean up the inside of these metal pipes with a 3/8 inch drill bit. Then we'll do a little bit of sanding. Now I'll put a quick clear coat on this. To be honest, this is just for looks. Now let's try out our new pocket hole jig. I'm pretty impressed with this thing. It works really well. Here recently, I've seen a lot of videos of homemade pocket hole jigs, but most of those videos don't really explain how to build one of these too well. And if they do, they're kind of complicated for some reason. But you can kind of see this is definitely the simplest way to make one of these. And if you don't have a pocket hole jig to make one of these, all you have to do is borrow one from a friend or buy one from your favorite hardware store and return it when you're done. Just kidding, don't actually do that. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's build. If you did, be sure to check out this video right here. I'm sure you're gonna like it. Also, if you weren't already aware, I just opened up a brand new DIY Man store. I'll throw that link in the description if you want to check that out and support this channel. I'll see you next time.